Hi, folks, and welcome to Dominion 6. Today, instead of talking about TNG, we're going to talk a little bit about the nations, my pretender design, and thoughts going into a middle age game with 9 people this time because we successfully bullied several of our friends into buying this game. So, let's talk about the nation I'm playing. I'm going to be playing middle-aged man. Now, is there a command that shows you the national spells for man? Um, we're just gonna make a test game real quick. So, man, this I probably should have set this up initially instead of making you watch me set up a test game, but I'm not sure how else to pull up the national spells. So, man has a couple national spells. They have a few summons. We've got the Black Dogs and the Seed, Barghasts, Unicorns. Um, but what they've really got that's important is here in Thaumaturgy, because they have Chorus Master and Chorus Slave, which are basically communions through spell seeding in Glamour. They also have Gaius, which is like this curse and slash or uh, madness effect, and I'm not sure if they have anything else. It does not look like it. So let's look at the national roster here for man. So we're just gonna real quick look at the summons. Barghasts and Black Dogs are dogs with dark power. Barghasts are sacred. Um, these are green dogs that don't have dark power, and they're also sacred. And the unicorn has a magic weapon and is sacred and is stealthy, I guess. I can't. I don't think any of them are particularly important. It's nice to have summonable sacreds, and I guess these could be nice trying to go underground, maybe. Um, as for your heroes, you've got a fair few. You've got the Knight of the Stones. This is a just a decent multi-hero. The Green Knight is he's sacred. He regenerates. He's got magic armor. He's a decent thug chassis. The Heroine is also kind of a thug, but I think you really more want her for the leadership. This is your highest astral, but she's also very old, so she probably won't last too long. The Eden is also a pretty strong thug, and he brings some tower guard with him. 2d6 tower guard is not bad. Um, this is a great mage. He's astral, he's earth, he's everything. He can shapeshift and fly. She can also shapeshift and fly, and she's got glamour. So you've got nice heroes, but I don't think you necessarily need to build for them. So we'll talk a little bit about the unit roster. You have cheap slingers. These are foreign recruit. Um, they're fine. I think that if you were a nation with fire, these would be a lot more important than they were because then you could do flaming arrow plays. But you're not. You do have a decent amount of nature, so it will be interesting to see if doing the poison arrows might be useful with them. But they're also competing in terms of range damage with your longbowmen, who have great range. They've got um, not like acceptable. The short sword and the 10 attack skill is like they're not completely useless in melee. But like they've got 45 range, doing 15 damage. These are nice spammable in the back line. Then you've got your bog standard human spearman and your bog standard human with a longer spear if you want to have repel and also slightly better protection. This is foreign recruit. He's got a javelin and an axe. This is decent, slightly better than human stats. Your tower guard, solid lion holder, castle defense bonus. Um, Forrester is dual wielding weapons and has a short bow. I think these are nice attack density, and patrol bonus is never bad. And they're stealthy, so maybe you can do stuff with stealthy parties. The landless knight. I'm not necessarily sure you're ever getting these to a certain extent. I think if you just want to stand in the front line, you might rather have tower guard. And if you want knights, why not pay for the horse? Um, Low green cavalry, foreign recruit cavalry is nice. They're light cavalry, light lance. You have better cavalry, but they're decent. Your knight of man is solid heavy cav. You've got the Warden of Avalon. He's got a great sword. This will cut stuff up. He's sacred. He has true sight. He's got bodyguard. He's stealthy. Um, Above human stats. This is a great sacred, but now in Dominion 6, they are competing in terms of the sacred slot because your Knight of Avalon has become sacred. And I think this is one of the biggest glow ups in terms of a unit from 5 to 6. Not only because they've become sacred, but because I think they've benefited relatively in terms of the cavalry changes. In that now that the unicorn is a separate stat, like the mount is a separate stat, is to say the fact that the Knight of Avalon is riding on a unicorn, which has not only great protection but great magic resistance, is a huge difference. I think a lot of other strong traditional heavy cav sacreds are going to struggle with the fact that they're riding on a normal horse that has low magic resistance and maybe not that great protection, and there's a lot of weaknesses that you can do for that in a way that you can't really do for the unicorn. And the unicorn's bringing a magic weapon to you, so um, great sacred recuperation, poison resistant at least a little bit. I think for the most part you're getting the charge bonus, so I think you're usually going to be recruiting Knights of Avalon over Wardens, but Wardens have a strong role for their True Sight, their Bodyguard role, and also this guy's rolling up with a 25 damage Greatsword. You need to deal with high protection. This guy's going to chop someone up real good. So we'll look at the commanders real quick. You got your Royal Forester. He's a scout, but he's also kind of a stealthy party leader. His leadership's not really good enough for a great raiding force, but he exists. I think he's slightly stealthier than a normal scout. I'd have to check. Um, the Castellan is you've got a normal 100 leadership leader. I don't know if I have anything incredible to say. Um, Monks are good. They're divine insight researchers. They ignore drain and they ignore drain and magic. They're stealthy, so they're stealthy preachers. It's probably not going to come up, but it's not terrible. They don't need forts. Um, they're cheap as chips. These are nice. Um, uh, you've got a bard. I think if you're looking for scouting, you're probably recruiting a bard over a forester to a certain extent. They're a spy and they're a mage, so you can get graphs from them. Um, they're not seducers. They might have been seducers in 5, but they're not. Glamour 1 Spellslinger, you're not really using him for his magic skills. You're using him for the fact that he's stealthy. Uh, so we're gonna skip the Mage Core and we're gonna go keep on to leaders. The Lord Warden is dual wielding broadswords and he's ambidextrous. He's not breeding quite as much. He's not breeding the 25 damage greatsword, but I think he's choppy.
But I'm not super sure to the degree to which you're using him. I think if you're just looking for 100 leadership, you might as well just why just take the Castellan. And if you're looking for leading sacred parties around, you're taking the Knight Commander of Avalon to lead Knights of Avalon to be Magic Pony Squad. That's just gonna beat people the heck up with your Magic Ponies. So yeah, your mages. You've got the Daughter of Avalon. She's sacred, 120 gold for 9 research. She's nature 1, glamour 1. She's fine. I think you're gonna be. I mean, the fact of the matter is, man is a communion nation. They're just a weird communion nation because now they're using glamour last as opposed to nature, but they're using glamour. So this is your communion slave, and I think they're a solid communion slave because you're bringing glamour and nature, and you're going to be throwing mostly glamour and nature spells around. The Mother of Avalon is your priest, so that's gonna be nice to put into, sorry, English words. If you need to, you might be able to start doing stuff with divine channeling. She's gonna be slightly higher path. She also is gonna rope in a little bit of water and earth, and possibly she might even get up to nature 3. So that's good and useful. Your cap only mage, you've got the Crown of Avalon. So she's old, and I've thought about if you want on aging bless for this nation, but I think less so because I think you're less dependent on this on the cap mage. But she's glamour 2, nature 3 out of the box. She's gonna bring you a little bit of air. She's also bringing a little bit of earth and water. Um, great. I mean, you're mostly gonna be throwing around a lot of nature and glamour. But with her in here bringing like one water or one air, then with all the slaves she could be higher air, though of course you're more likely to burn out your communion. But the nice thing about the spell Choral Communion is that mages will, when they fatigue out, they'll leave the communion rather than dying, so you're less likely to burn out your communion, which is one of the reasons why I took this nation. I want to learn how to do communions more, and this seems like a communion nation with safety rails. And then because I've been playing TNG, I've been practicing a lot of heavy cav anyways. So um, heavy cav sacred expansion seems like something I can pull off. And then in your foreign recruit, you've got the Logrian Wise Man. Um, and he's your only way you're getting any fire, but you're barely getting any fire from him. And he might get you Earth 2 or Air 1. So I do think you're going to be wanting somewhere where you're recruiting these, because you want to be site searching Earth, and he can help you site search fire and air. Um, he's not bringing a ton of diversity, but he's bringing a little bit of diversity to you. He's obviously not your researcher, but he's not expensive. He's too like I think you want to find a place to crank some of these out to help you get a few more gem types in search, and you'll also probably want a place to take advantage of your cheap temples and just spam monks. Um, so going back, we're gonna look at my god now. Sorry, it's mods. We're gonna look at my god. And the god that I've gone with is Big Wheel Healer. I went with the Dinu of Thunder because I like Titans and they're cool. And with his he's got so with water 4 and fire 4, you can help me climb up a little bit. Because I'll have a little bit of water and fire, but not very much. So hopefully he can help like forge a booster and summon something to climb up a bit. And then with Air 6, he can really help get into big air. And then also those were the paths I wanted for the boosts I want, which is just kind of attack skill, defense skill, swiftness, awareness. I understand that in 6, the surroundable the ability for cavalry to resist surrounding is less than it once was. So the new awareness blast seems like it could be good for heavy cav, which are likely going to be outnumbered. And then production in order to help spam out those heavy cav, which are going to be expensive. I dumped heat because I usually dump a little bit of nature scales, a little bit of growth because it's nice to have your money increase. 6 Dominion is solid, but not Super expensive. I didn't take any luck because I don't like taking misfortune, but I don't think you really, really want to get your heroes the way some other nations might. And I didn't take magic because similarly, I prefer not to take drain in it. But I think you're going to be getting a lot of research from the monks, so you're getting advantage of your that research isn't necessarily going to be benefiting from magic anyways. And also, hold on, we're gonna pull up the test again real quick. If it was saved at all, I might not have. Okay. Um, I think the magic site for Man in the Middle Age might, yeah, it increases magic in the capital, so um, you're you're going to be getting some advantage of magic skills even without paying for it. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the other nations we're gonna be up against now in the Middle Ages. So we have one person playing Middle Age Arco. Um, Similarly to talking about the Late Age, I don't know how much I can say about Arco. Their troop lineup is, I think, solidly okay. Um, they're gonna repel. They're formation fighters. They're decent line holders. They exist. You've got elephants to do elephant things. The Heart Companion is, I think, an incredibly forgettable sacred, but you can just not use it. So who cares that it's not that good? Their heroes are mostly forgettable. He shows up and gives a little bit of inspiration. This gets you a decent communion master. He's slightly hard to kill. She gets you high nature. That's nice, but nothing incredibly game changing there. As for the summons, I think the most important summon in well, so show Dragon's Teeth is a good combat spell, but nothing particularly to write home about there. And then, I mean, their magic lineup is mostly, I mean, they've got a little bit of nature, and they've got healer, which is really good and rare. But then otherwise, I'm a recruitable, spammable, uh, research slave and communion slave, and then I show up in the capital to lead the communions. And I suspect you can probably form a fire communion and put flaming arrows on a shit ton of slingers and put them in front of a line of hoplites, and then after that throw out Soul Slay. So that's probably the Arco game plan. Um, I'm Man. Someone's playing Middle Age Agartha. Middle Age Agartha is hi. I'm Big Earth. Check me out. I'm bigger Earth than you could possibly imagine. They're going to be chilling down there in the caves. I don't know if anyone. I certainly don't think I would want to fight with them in the caves, but I'm not. They're less threatening outside of the caves without the advantage of being able to see in the dark, and their combat and movement speed isn't anything to write home about. Um, the Pale One troops are mostly forgettable. Their stats are just terrible. Defenders of the Hall are okay. At least they've got decent defense now. Um, the ancient ones are not really worth it. Shard Guard are good, but their combat speed is impressively terrible. So I guess I'd say they have a decent enough troop roster, not amazing, and they're slow. I mean, Agartha's big weakness is always that they've been slow in every age. Um, and then their mage lineup: Research Monkey and Fortune Tower and Earth One. This guy does all of your summons. This is kind of a thug. This is big Earth. And they're really a nation of summons. So, they're spamming out all of these statues and the Living Mercury and Umbrals and stuff and Magma Childs, but less so in the middle. Magma Childs and Umbrals less in the Middle Age because their fire and death is less than it once was. But they're going to be getting a lot of Earth Gems and throwing them into stone guys who are probably going to be kind of hard to kill because they're slash and pierce resistant and they've got high protection, but I have guys with big swords, so I'm hopefully they can chop through them if I need to. And then their heroes, they've got more interesting heroes. The Onyx Oracle here, this guy fucks. This guy is tough to kill. He is chunky. He is also one of my favorite lore descriptions in the Dominions universe. Like this last sentence here, and it decided it would move. I think Akartha is wonderfully evocatively tragic and interesting. Um, Decrepit breaks you into really high death. He also summons some stuff, but really you're getting a death for mage. That's a lot of death magic. Um, Klaus will not necessarily live too long because he's 275, but he's a mason and a decent mage, like death 3 and then good pass, but he's a mason and you're a nation. You are a nation that would love to get more oracles out of your cap. So Mason is good for you. Agartha also has the construct HP Dominion, which is interesting, but also multi-sided. And Arco scries like it does in every age, which is probably going to be pretty nice for this player because this player and this player are going to be some of the really brand new people, and having more detailed information will probably help you make good decisions. One of the more experienced players who is in the middle age and first middle age and in the late age game is playing Marignon. Um, Marion does two things in terms of magic. It does fire and it does astral. And it throws a lot of fire and astral at you. And now that evocations are better, that should probably be a better build. I think it does struggle a decent amount with the fact that almost all of its mages are either old or about to be old. Like this guy says he's not old, but he's 45 when he's going to become old at 46, and he's also a fire mage. So yeah, the bright candle burns out fast. Uh, but so their bards are seducers, but they're also not mages. So who gives a crud? Um, Falconeers, I think, are new. That's interesting. They're kind of like the Nabaa guys, but they've got recruit everywhere sacred, both in terms of these who are foreign recruit and shitty, but sacred, and then the Knights of the Chalice who are solid sacred heavy cav. Though I think these are a good example of now that the horse is a separate thing, having 8 defense skill and 6 magic resistance is going to be a little bit of an Achilles heel for the main knight. But we'll see to the degree to which that is true. And then they've got crossbowmen in the middle age, and I think you kind of want the halberdiers or the swordsmen. I'm not sure how much the pikeneer really is worth it for all that it can repel. Like these guys can also kind of repel, and I don't know. I'm not sure they're worth it. The man at arms, he's a bodyguard and he's hard to kill, and the royal guard is also a bodyguard. So I don't know if I would want to get into. I think that is quite a deterrent to assassins. Is a possibility of having like 3 heavy cavalry in like several heavy cavalry as bodyguards for mages. They can summon angels and stuff, which are pretty good, powerful thugs. This guy can break you into air, but it does require a heck of a lot of astral gems. And their heroes, he's a holy 4. That's pretty rare. The inspirational leader. He's a pretty good thug and he's a decent mage, and he's a great mage and a researcher, and also just interesting lore wise. Um, then we have Pyrene. Pyrene is our most experienced player, but he's super experienced from Dominions 3, so he's still adjusting to Dominion 6. It's been a lot big jump. Um, they may put the Basques in Dominions and then made them worship evil demon goats and do blood magic. Um, Blood magic is scary, particularly in the late game, and this seems like a nation that's good at blood. Um, this guy's blood searching 4, possibly 5. Um, he's an adept crossbreeder, but I'm not sure the degree to which crossbreeding is actually good. He's got a life drain dagger, though it's not a very he's not exactly, you don't really want him mixing into combat with 9/9. The Pyrene Monk is recruit everywhere, but and he can possibly be your blood searcher and fire and nature and earth, but I'm not sure how much you're caring about him. Your Mouflon Sacred Knights are solid. Mouflon are also going to be struggling with the low magic resistance of animals, but they're chunkier than a normal horse, I think, would be. I mean, yeah, they've got more health than a horse. And Are the Mouflon fire resistant? No. So the there's even if some of their units are fire resistant, their mounts are not. The Beck trades are aging poorly into the Middle Age. Leather and stone is not necessarily holding up, but a crossbowman is good, and their regular troop up, I think lineup is fine, if not anything incredible to lineup write home about. Great swords are solid. They can cut through a big armor. Partial dark vision is nice. Man at arms is the bodyguard. I mean, they're a little bit, they've got a lot of similarities with Marignan for understandable reasons. The Castellan is 75 leadership, but he has 10 castle defense, so that's interesting. The Marquis is 100 leadership on a horse. This is a recruitable Holy One that possibly can be a Blood Searcher. Blood One, Holy Two, possibly a little bit of Fire and Earth. And Sacred, which is useful. The Sorgina is less powerful than they once were, but is also Blood 2 now, and is not cap restricted. And being able to fly is great for map move and stuff. She's got a little bit of air, but not really the same degree as she once was. This is a scout. Scouts are not important. We don't care about him either. Or rather, scouts aren't particularly notable, not important. Scouts are important. Priest level 1 leader for sacred parties is nice. We talked about the big goat. That's Pyrene. I think they could be scary because I'm scared of blood magic in the late game, but I don't know if any of us can really pull that off or if we'll get that far. We have Nabah. Nabah is also a new player, so we'll see um, how well they pull it off. Camel Riders are great because they bring falcons. Desert Warriors are undisciplined, but like they recruit everywhere skirmishers. They're okay. The Nabah and like infantry lineup, I don't think is particularly good, but like the Adite Archer, your range 50, 18 damage great bow is nice. Um, Adite Light infantry, you've got a javelin, you've got a spear. I don't know how much you would want to spring for the elite warrior, and then the Janguard are glamored. They're sacred. They're fire resistant. These are decent. And then your commander lineup, you've got like a scout, you've got Sheik, he's a tax collector, you've got an anti general, he's got 100 leadership. The Carib is research monkey, he's a priest 1, he's an earth 1. The Mukarib is priest 2, and he's an astral mage and a fortune teller, so he can be a communion slave if you try to do communion stuff. The Janamir, he's got fire, air, glamour, and then possibly more fire, glamour, or a little bit of earth, and I think you could probably thug with him. I mean, he's built in glamour, he's sacred, he's got slots, he's got decent skills and health. Sahir is a bigger mage. I think you're probably making this your research monkey. You're probably making this your main battle mage. In the capital, you've got the Malika. She's got great fire, and she's got air and glamour, and a little bit more of possibly everything, and a whole heckload of tags: magic power and spirit sight and vulnerability and veil and glamour and stealthy and flying and ethereal and no armor and a terrible weapon. So if you want her to fight anything, you'll need to gear the heck out of her. But like great mage, you're gonna want every one of these you can get. Non-fort Hermit Sahir is um, less good than a normal Sahir, but you don't need a fort for him, and he comes with a dog. Well, it's not really a dog. It's ethereal dog. It's not. I don't know if it's amazing, but it's all right. I think out of fort mages are always at least interesting. And then you're gonna you've got the ability to summon all of the Ubar shit, particularly Shaitan if you can get into blood enough to do it. Um, as for their heroes, these are multi-heroes that you share with Ubar. They're okay. You're never gonna be sad to get a multi-hero, but they're not gonna change your game plan. And then the Queen of Nabah, like getting Fire 4 is gonna let you break into higher things, and other but she's just a buffed up Malika. And since you like having Malika, having a free better Malika is good, but not incredibly changing your magic access, though getting to Fire 4 built in will be nice to help you climb up fire. There's someone in Tianxi that's also new. Tianxi's infantry lineup I've already talked about before, though it's slightly different in the Middle Age than it is in the early and late. All of the like footmen and archer and stuff they're okay. The ministry people I think have maybe slightly better stats relatively. Like if you're an archer and you're a guard, like you're 10-10 and then you're like 11 or sorry, you're 11-14 and you're 11. So there's slightly better stats, I guess, and this is interesting because it grabs you and they are patrol bonus. So they have slightly better infantry lineup and they have crossbowmen, which is nice. And good patrol bonus. Not that you're blood hunting to really need them. Your horse lineup is okay. It's not as good as Lady Shenchi, particularly because of the spannable. The Red Guard is it's a heavy cavalry sacred, which is decent, but also like has the same problem of now you can target the horse, and the horse is not as impressive as the guy on the horse. Strike of the Spring is honestly probably less good than it is. I don't know if it's a good tag. I mean, it's not a terrible tag because it helps you, but I think you'd rather not have it and just have the regular hit points and the up and down. As for their commander roster, you got the Imperial Alchemist and the Cap, who's got a great thin spread of things. He leads into some events, I believe, and he's a disease healer. We've got the Celestial Master. He's better than he is in the late age, but still not as good as he was in the middle age. He's okay. He's water. This is a spammable water one that doesn't need to eat. He's got a little bit of stuff. This could be any of the elementals in nature, and also a disease healer. Minister of Magic is a research great researcher. The Imperial Geomancer is probably what you're spamming the heck out of. Their fortune towers, their Earth Astral. You put a big bunch of them together. They communion up. They throw gifts from heaven. They throw gifts from heaven. They throw some more gifts from heaven, and then just for good measure, they throw gifts from heaven. The Apothecary is nature one. Um, they have poison darts, I guess. That's slightly interesting. The Minister of Rituals brings fortune, is Holy 2 if you need to bring like Sermon of Courage. And the Ceremonial Master is a Fortune Tower Priest 1. And the Eunuch organizes defense and collects taxes. So, you've got a lot of options in Tianxi. Like, look at how many mages you have. But I think to a certain extent, besides spreading out to have a good gem spread and communions to a certain degree. I think you're leaning on the Imperial Geomancer for your main combat mage and the Minister of Magic to research. And then in the capital, I'm not sure which of the two you're getting. And then you're also doing a bunch of summons. You're probably more able to do summons than you are in the late age. And since you're going to be using your Red Guard to chop stuff up rather than like shoot things, you're more able to use Celestial Soldiers, Celestial Servants to also chop stuff up. Um, this can get you high glamour, though I don't know its requirements. And your heroes are all immortal, which is nice. Um, they're not. They don't get you incredible new diversity access, though the Master of the Iron Crutch, I guess, is nice for the Middle Age because you don't have any other death. But he also gives people diseases, so that's not amazing. Um, then we have two people in the water. We've got Pelagia and we've got Atlantis. And that's going to be interesting because they're going to be a water Thunderdome, and I have no idea which one of them is better. Because like Pelagia's Knight of the Deep will cut stuff up in underwater. I mean, its main weakness it's aquatic, but like this is a solid sacred, and it will kill things. I mean, like it's a knight on a unicorn. It's a lot like I was talking up the Knight of Avalon earlier, so this is solid. They can spam Amber Clan, and uh, they've got people with nets and all of that, and then I mean they both have spammable water 2 mages, which I think is a key part of are you any good underwater fight in an underwater fight. Um, uh, and then in the late game they've got the Pearl Mage and Pearl farming stuff, and the Trident King can. But so the Trident King is recruitment 4, water 4, possibly even. No, he's water 4. Um, and then if you get on the land, the Didacos can research good and get and Atlantis has water 3, possibly water 5. And he's also recruitment 4 capital only. No, he's not capital only. And the Coral Towers is 5 water gems, and uh, Palace of Pearls is 4 water gems. So I don't know how this fight will go. I feel like the Pelagian troop roster might be slightly better, but my understanding of underwater war is that, at a certain degree, it depends on who can throw more water elementals at the other person, and I think Atlantis might be better at that with equally spammable water 2s, and then freaking water 3, water 5s over here going bing bang boom water elemental for literally days. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. I feel like they kind of have to fight each other, and whichever one wins will be a 2 cap nation and big and slightly scary. Um, I think Pelagia is my least favorite nation in all of Dominions, both in terms of thematics, it's kind of boring, and then gameplay, so much of it becomes turtle in the water and then pearl farm with a pearl mage, and then I cast wish and stuff and screw you, and like it's lame. It's boring, okay? I don't like it. Um, their heroes here are those are summons, not heroes. Because they don't have any heroes in the Middle Age. Their summons are Theranos stuff. They're decent. Not amazing. Atlantis summons the big fish. The big fish is really funny, and Fishmaster Sog is hilarious, but probably not relying on this to win you wars. You'd probably rather summon water elementals. And then the Coral Prince is fine. I mean he's got good stats and poison. Like he's a big mother guard, but like or whatever consort. He's a buffed up consort, but the consort isn't like so amazing. And then the Seer King is water 4, Astral 3, so that it's pretty good. He's got Void Sanity. That will not come up at all, but that's cool. Um, I don't know which of the two nations would win here. My hope would be Pelagia because Pelagia can't really come up on land in the same way that Atlantis can, but I don't know. Um, and that is the whole roster. We're gonna make a really long video here, and we're gonna even go in and do the first turn because that's not gonna matter. So you can see the whole lineup here. We're gonna go man, Tower of Avalon. In the beginning there was chaos, and now the wheel has turned again. So we can see we got a big lake for the underwater Thunderdome, and then I can't see it right now, but there is gonna be Agartha underground, I believe. So we're gonna be glad we took heat scales because that might be able to help us get to these farmlands. I misread this as Atlanta for a second. So we're gonna scout up. We're gonna recruit Knights of Avalon. We're gonna also recruit Wombo Man. We're gonna bid for Marrows. Why the heck not? They suck, but why the heck not? Um, you're gonna become the prophet, and we gotta rename you. That's important. Spider Man. Spider Man, prophet of man, with its god Big Wheel, who is a famously dangerous and powerful and beloved Marvel villain. So you're gonna go here, and then you're gonna go in a line, and you're just gonna probably hold an attack, and then you're gonna go in another line, and you're just gonna fire closest, and you're gonna stay here. I'm not gonna give you orders yet because you don't have anything to cast spells, and you're a scout, so you can yeah, you're gonna. Cool. So as you can see, we got a lot of people to do stuff, and we'll see how that goes with a bigger cast of characters that are even more inexperienced. I think it will be well, we'll see who my neighbors are, but I think it will be to a certain degree a dilemma for me in terms of like the easiest targets are going to be the most new people, but am I really helping them learn if I just rush them? It's why in the late age game I decided not to move into man after all, is because it didn't seem like it'd be a good or fun fight. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. You can see man starts off with Magic 2 in its capital, which is going to be nice for helping research here. And we'll see you. Peace, love, understanding, and all of that sort of stuff.